Everybody, John Van Dyke here for New Jersey Exposed. Today is Friday, June 12th, 2020. And guess what New Jersey time it is? It is 8 p.m. here in New Jersey. I don't know what time it is where you're at, but where I'm at, according to my phone, 8 p.m. New Jersey time. So there's been a lot of talk lately about defunding the police. You know, I thought we had reached new limits of insanity. But we've gone a step further now. We've gone to beyond insanity to duncehood. Oh, I've been recognized. Look at that, we got the cops over here. I've been ID'd. Come on over and say hi to the neighborhood.
No, I can't right now. How long are you gonna be here for?
I was just doing a video about defunding the police. I'll be here till sundown.
All right, John.
What's your name?
Dave.
What's your last name? So you watch my videos?
All the time.
I'm doing about the defunding. I think it's the most insane thing I ever heard.
You're gonna do it on Chad's?
No, I'm going to put it up on my YouTube channel.
On YouTube. All right.
Yeah, that'll probably be up tomorrow morning or tonight.
All right, enjoy the weather.
Thank you. I'm enjoying the silence. It's quiet here.
That's why I came here.
There you go. Well, there you go. I got the Tinton Falls Police chiming in here with me. So, we've reached new levels of stupidity. Insanity and stupidity, duncehood. Let's just say, let's mix it, insanity with duncehood. We got a bunch of dunces running out there. Now, I've been to 7 protests so far, and I see these dunces out there, and it's always the same dunce, type of dunce. It's some girl, young girl, with straggly hair, bad clothes, combat boots, holding a sign that says defund the police, or it's some like little lily white girl holding defund the police. And when you first see that, defund the police, you think that means get rid of the police or pull all the money away. That's what I thought, and I think that's what these knuckleheads may think. So, I had to look it up. So I Googled defund the police, and I came up with this one right here, thecut.com. It says, what exactly does it mean to defund the police? Let's read it. Because I really don't know, and I want to educate myself before I start bloviating about something. It starts out as thousands of protesters across the country have gathered to demand justice for George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and other black people killed by the police. A related rallying cry has gained momentum. Defund the police. It's an idea that's been popular among activists and critics of the criminal justice system for decades. In the past 2 weeks, though, it's gained unprecedented support and national media attention. Proponents of the defunding argue that incremental police reform has failed. A better solution, they argue, would be to more effectively address underlying factors that contribute to crime like poverty, homelessness. This would be achieved by cutting police forces' often astronomical budgets on a city level and reallocating those funds towards social services such as housing and youth services. See, already we're getting to the liberal mindset that we need more social programs. Some critics have dismissed defunding the police as a left-wing fantasy. I think so. But the concept is quickly gaining mainstream recognition, perhaps mostly notably on June 7th, the City Council of Minneapolis announced its intent to disband the city's police department with a veto-proof majority and replace it with a holistic model of public safety that actually keeps us safe. So it goes down here, it says, what does it mean to defund the police? Defunding the police does not necessarily mean getting rid of the police altogether. Rather, it would mean reducing police budgets and reallocating those funds to crucial and often neglected areas like education, public health, housing, and youth services. Some activists want to abolish the police altogether. Defunding is a separate but connected issue. It's predicated on the belief that investing in communities would act as a better deterrent to crime by directly addressing social problems like poverty, mental illness, and homelessness. Well, how many millions and billions of dollars have we dumped into cities like Detroit, Chicago, Los Angeles, cities that have a very high minority population? We dump all this money into the city, we dump it all into the schools, and you know what? It's not doing anything. Because I don't care, all the money you dump in there, it's not gonna help. Because the underlying problem in the minority community, particularly black, is the family unit is non-existent. You have close to, what's it, 74% of black kids in the community are raised in single-parent homes on welfare. That's where the problem is. They're brought up in poverty. Instead of raising kids in a proper environment, these minorities are going out and laying eggs before they build a nest. They're having kids at 16, 17, 18 years old. They're setting it up for they're setting themselves up for failure. No matter how much of your tax money you're gonna dump in there, you're not gonna change anything because you still got stupid people having stupid kids that grow up to be stupid adults. I'm not gonna get off on a tangent. Let me continue. Even some cops resent society's over-reliance on them. They're just asking us to do too much, said former Dallas Police Chief David Brown in a 2016 interview. Every societal failure we put it off for the cops to solve. That's too much to ask. Policing was never meant to solve all those problems, and the outcome can be deadly. In 2015, the Washington Post found that 1 in 4 people killed by police officers suffered from a serious mental illness at the time of their death. Advocates argue this could be avoided by, get this one, I love this one, by replacing some police officers with trained social workers. Imagine that. You're gonna get in a fight with your wife, and your wife is coming at you with a knife. And you're gonna call 911, and 911 is gonna send some little college graduate girl over with a smiley button. It's gonna try to mediate things for you. Yeah, okay. Municipalities can begin by changing policies to statutes so police officers never respond to certain kinds of emergencies, including ones that involve substance abuse, domestic violence, homelessness, or mental health. Great. Great. Okay, so if someone calls 911 to report a drug overdose, healthcare teams rush to the scene. The police wouldn't get involved. If a person calls 911 to complain about people who are homeless, rapid response social workers would provide them with housing support and other resources. Let me continue. The amount of money the United States spends on policing is staggering. According to a recent analysis, sum is $115 billion, which is bigger than nearly every other country's military budget. In most cities, the police budget dwarfs those for education, housing, and other crucial services. For example, Los Angeles' proposed police budget for 2021 is $1.8 billion, more than half of the city's total spending for the year. New York City's annual, get this one, annual police budget is a whopping $6 billion. That's not include the money they extort from people and take in from court revenue stuff, which is more than the city spends on health, homeless services, youth development, and workforce development combined. Defunding proposals would reallocate a fraction of that. For instance, activists and city council candidates in New York City have proposed cutting the NYPD budget by $1 billion over the next 4 years. But would crime increase without police? Duh. One of the main arguments raised by those who oppose defunding, what will we do about crimes if police forces are made to scale back? Advocates counter that investing in communities and providing them with resources will reduce crime on its own. For example, a 2016 report from the Obama White House Council of Economic Advisors found that a 10% increase in wages for non-college educated men results approximately in a 10 to 20% reduction in crime rate. Well, my question is, so if we're defunding the police, will my taxes drop? So I'm an employer. Will my taxes drop so I can give that person the 10% increase in their wages? But on top of that, those in favor of defund also point out that police departments across the country consistently have low rates of solving crimes, even as their budget have increased threefold, blah, blah, blah. So it goes on and on here. It's a little lengthy. I will put the link in the description so you can read the whole thing. So here's my opinion, folks, because I know there was somebody out there asked me to do a video about this. We cannot defund the police. That's insanity, okay? I'm very critical of the police, but to defund them is ridiculous. Cut back on some of it? Yeah, I think so. Sometimes I think there's too many police on the road and they don't know what to do with themselves. And the other problem, I think, is too much of the police are being used to extort revenue rather than going out and driving around and patrolling the neighborhoods. I'll give you a perfect example. Homedale Township Police. They're not doing it lately, but for a long time I was aware that they were sitting in the middle of the road with the plate readers. They were sitting on the highway with the lights off, watching cars go by. They were going up and down Laurel Avenue, stalking motorists. And then the next day you see them on their Facebook page. We've had a string of car burglaries. We want to remind everybody to not leave your keys in the car, lock your car, don't leave valuables in there. And I have to remind them, you know, every second that you sit on the side of the road watching cars go by so you can stalk one of them, it's a second loss to you patrolling the neighborhood. See, here in America, folks, police are used to enforce laws and extort money, okay? This myth that they're out there protecting the neighborhood, so in some cases may have a little validity to it, but for the most part, that's not what they're doing. They're driving around extorting money and arresting people because it benefits the officer to arrest somebody. He gets to go to court, he gets overtime, the town makes money on it. Everybody makes money except the guy that got arrested. So that's the problem. And as I said, when I was down and I was talking to the crowd at Hazard, I said, I want the police to be protectors, not enforcers. I want the police to be held accountable. I want them to be held to a higher standard. When they break the law, they get the maximum. They need to know when they screw up, it's going to cost them. I want police to be licensed. I want them to carry their own insurance, so when they screw up, they're going to pay a portion of the settlement. Not all this crap that the town's going to pay for all, and the cop, nothing's going to happen to him. He's got to have a stake in the matter. So if he has his own liability insurance and say he costs $200 problem, well, maybe he's going to have to pay 50% of that. And that way his insurance rates go up. And just like your car insurance, when you drive around and act stupid and get a lot of points on your license, your insurance goes up to the point where it's cheaper to call a taxi cab. And that's what we need to have. We need police that are going to respect our rights. We need police that are not going to be thugs when they're out there. They're going to uphold their oath. They're going to be respectful to the community. We need good police who are going to get rid of the bad police. That's what we need. And then we don't have any more of this nonsense of police out there hurting people. And I don't buy the whole thing, oh, it's just a few bad apples. Go on YouTube. Every day there's a new video coming out about what the police are doing. Now, I'm not saying all the police around here in Monmouth County are out there doing bad stuff, because for the most part, I want to say they're not. There are idiots out there every once in a while that show up in the newspaper. But across America as a whole, there's some idiot cops out there that are doing some bad stuff. We've seen the videos. I don't have to remind you. But they do stuff because they, as I said, when I addressed the audience and Hazard, when you work for somebody, you know what the boss lets you get away with. You know who the bad employees are. If you work for a boss that doesn't put up with you standing around and goofing off and time theft and everything, you're going to work. Because you know if you don't work, you're going to get fired. It's the same thing with the police department. If the officer knows, hey, my chief don't put up with no crap. If I'm out there and I do something stupid, I'm going to pay the price for it. And we all know who the bad employees are, so if there's cops out there to know that there's a bad cop on the force, they need to say, hey, chief, such and such is doing some bad shit out there. You need to do something about it. And police need to have body cams. It must be standard now, all body cams. And if they fail to turn their body cam on at all, then it's an automatic 30-day suspension without pay. Now, I'm not talking about the officer that gets on the scene, oh, he forgets to turn it on for a minute or two, and then he turns it on. That's different. That should be a reprimand, because sometimes things happen you can't remember. But I'm talking about the officer that doesn't turn it on, and if an officer puts his hand over intentionally to cover things up, or is found to turn it off, that's a suspension without pay. That's 30 days without pay. So really, we don't need to get rid of police. We just need to. Police need to reorganize how they do things. They need to approach things differently. They need to be part of the community. I know that's tough in the big cities, but around here, it's not so hard to do. They need to be part of the community. They need to see us people. We need to, I say, yeah, cut back the budget a little bit. We don't need so many police on duty. Have a lighter force, and maybe you go do a thing where you have 1 or 2 cops that are they're on call. So if something really goes down bad, they know they're going to get called out, and they get paid a time and a half to go out and say there's an accident. So they get paid to go out and patrol while the other officers are on the accident or the fire or whatever it is. Do something like that. And I think police here in this county alone are paid way too much. You take Homedale Township Police. Now, I'm not picking on them. I'm just using them as an example. These patrol officers, they're averaging $100,000 a year. That's insanity. Sit in a car for $100,000 a year. Drive around, extort money. I think it's got to be less wages. These chiefs are being paid way too much. We need to demilitarize the police. We need to stop that. They need to stop looking like they're dressed for Fallujah. They come around with these vests, and I don't understand why we give them all this weaponry. They got a gun, they got a Glock 9mm sitting on their side. They got a stun gun. They got pepper spray. They got a baton. It always seems like something goes wrong if the gun is out. So I think I don't know if the training's out there as to how to handle and approach things. I don't know. I watched that video of the state police on the road there. I'm not faulting the police. I'm just wondering why it resulted in a gun. Because it seems like the gentleman was running away, and that officer attempted to physically restrain him, take him down. I don't know where the kid's gonna go. He was on a major highway. Where's he going? So now the kid's dead. The officer's, he's not working. There's going to be a lawsuit. It's a whole mess. It's a whole damn mess. So defunding the police, now I'm against that. Reorganizing how police do things, I'm for that. Hiring a different type of police officer, I'm for that. We need a different approach. That's what we need. But defunding the police, that's got to be the most stupidest thing I've heard. Where are these dumb people coming from? What planet are they on? Is there like I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent again. Is there like a mind disease called mind virus out there that's infecting these people? And it's just like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I'll defund the police. Let's defund the police. Well, you know what? I like the whole idea right now that the police are being reactive, not proactive. I like that. But at nighttime, I want them to patrol around the neighborhood. And when I pick the phone and call 911, I want to know an officer's showing up. Okay? Simple as that. I don't want, because if you get rid of the police, we're going to have vigilantes. And I don't want vigilantes. Because that don't work either. And don't give me a gun. Don't tell everybody, oh, we'll get guns and that'll be the end of it. No, because now you're going to have shootouts between the neighbors. So, defunding the police. All right. Enough of that nonsense. Put the link in the description. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe. Sean Van Dyke for New Jersey Exposed. Till next time, people.